This episode of Lemon's World is another installment in the crazy engine swap Geo Metro series. If you want to watch other ones, they're right here on this channel.
Yeah, so this one is called the MetSHO, and it's from Team Charnel House, and it is a perfect example of the finest Lemons engineering, down to tracking every expense, using the change in the ashtray, and just making an incredible car at the end.
Yeah, so the MetSHO is a 94 two-door Metro, originally a three-cylinder. And according to the team, a four-door would have been much easier and probably handle better due to the longer wheelbase.
Now, the Metro Gnome, which we covered earlier in this series, that was converted eventually to mid-engine. This car showed up for Lemons with a mid-engine, and of course it's called a MetSHO because that mid-engine was the 3-liter V6 fantastic motor out of a Ford Taurus SHO.
Yep, and in fact, it's the entire front subframe, suspension, brakes, transmission from the 93 SHO all shoved in the back of this Geo Metro.
Not that even that is all stock, so it's this weird combination. They had to run with second-generation Taurus control arms. They had to modify third-generation lightweight spindles to fit on the second-generation control arms. Then they started breaking wheel studs. Gosh, I can't imagine why. So then they went to Taurus SHO wheel studs. That didn't work. Then they went to Police Interceptor wheel studs. That didn't work. They wound up having to put ARP wheel studs on that, which, of course, that counts wheels, brakes, and safety equipment. They can spend all they want on wheel studs, and hallelujah, now the wheels finally stay on.
Now, for springs, which does count towards the $500 cap, they went to the dumpster outside of the aftermarket suspension company, Stance Suspension. They literally went dumpster diving. The coilovers they got are slightly different heights. They're for different cars, totally unknown spring rates. They've called the resulting setup Dumpster Stance. And of course, since all of this is bolted to a front subframe from a Taurus, it's got the steering gear, and so they welded that in place.
Now, at the real front of the car, they've got a 22-gallon fuel cell, they've got the battery, and they've got the radiator and transmission cooler out of an F-150 pickup, because of course they do. So for the suspension, it's Mercury Sable hard points. I don't know why they went Sable now. And then there's all kinds of dumpster diving stuff up there, including, they think one coilover setup is from an Evo and the other is from a 240SX. Again, they're not sure. It just kind of works. Finally, for brakes up there, again, you can spend whatever you want on brakes. 13 inches Ford Mustang Cobra. So cool.
And the team wanted a really beefy sway bar for this setup, and so they do what all real seasoned racers do. They go to the full-size American land yacht section of Pick and Pull and found a giant baseball bat sized sway bar from an 81 Lincoln Continental. Now, of course, the sway bar that creates a cushy boat-like ride in your 81 Continental is actually full race spec for a Geo Metro.
Yeah, and then like a lot of teams that go full crazy on the engineering and assembly, they also went the extra mile on themes.
Yeah, they've done at least 4 different themes using computer drawings printed out on giant sheets of plotter paper and then transferred directly to sheet metal.
Started out as Crash Grape, which of course is a parody of Grape Crush.
They had the Sick Gut Jaguar, which was a take on the Group C Silk Cut Jaguar from Le Mans.
Then there was the GoPro Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak, which was particularly excellent because their giant front splitter was in fact a folding table, which at the end of the event they could take the splitter off, unfold it, and then sign autographs on it.
And lastly, you've got the awful computer theme based on the Apple computer Porsche 935 Turbo.
Yeah, so this 935, this is like the team's magnum opus. It is so spectacular. They figured they added like 200 pounds and 6 feet to the car, but who cares? And then they also figured out, well, you can't really make a replica of a car that's famous for being turbocharged and not turbocharge it, right?
That's right. Apparently, real serious racer Scott Sharp, he's known for racing Indy cars, sports cars, NASCAR, basically everything you can do in modern pro racing. He saw a picture of this Lemons Geo Metro online and instantly became a fan. He found out they were building a turbo Porsche replica and was like, dudes, I'm boxing up this pair of turbos from my 2015 Ligier Honda Le Mans car and sending them to you. Stick them on the car, go nuts.
Yes, and I just want to reiterate, these are real, super exotic, water-cooled turbos, one-off, that raced at the real Le Mans in 2015 on a Ligier Honda. The real deal.
Yeah, and of course, they're so exotic that if they ever break, they're going to be completely irreplaceable, but that doesn't slow the team down. They bolt them on the engine. They used manual wastegate settings to try to set them. They think they've got about 7 PSI. They had to reflash the stock Taurus SHO ECU for more fuel using some kind of ancient hoopty-ass piggyback system using a cable from a fax machine. In the end, the whole contraption makes 340 wheel horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque.
All right, so let me get this straight. Mid-engine supercar.
Yes!
340 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque.
Yes!
So it totally dominated, right?
Yes! Well,
there's no doubt that it's been fast. It's 2,600 pounds and has 58% rear weight bias, both of which are not typical for a Metro, but it's got 340 horsepower. There was this stretch where it owned the Le Mans lap record at every race it had entered. At Autobahn, it ran a 140 flat. At Gingerman, it ran a 143.6. And going down the front straight at Gingerman, the top speed was almost 130.
However, it is perhaps not the most reliable car. It's blown up head gaskets, it's blown up axles, it's blown up clutches. It's always something.
Yeah, it is always something, and I feel like that's a point that's lost on the $500 my ass crowd. They don't know that this car is not that reliable. They don't know that these guys used ashtray change, plotter paper, free turbos to make a Porsche 935 from scratch out of a Geo Metro. They just see the finished product and assume that it's not in the Le Mans spirit. Do we think it's in the Le Mans spirit?
Well, yes.
Yeah, and the team, I mean, they tell us they get heat from everybody about everything with this car. They've gotten heat about these stainless steel tubes around the turbos. And you know what? Those are from the pool ladder that their next door neighbor was throwing away one day. They literally got that out of the dumpster dive where people see it, why that $500 my ass? Again, people just, they see the finished product and they just assume it's expensive and they know nothing about it. They don't want to know anything about what went into making it happen.
So once again, this team is called charnel house. The literal definition of a charnel house is, quote, a building or vault in which corpses or bones are piled.
Well, yeah, although another definition is actually, quote, a place associated with violent death.
Yeah, well, we're going to ignore that second definition. If you think about it, this car is truly an automotive charnel house, where the corpses and bones of other cars are piled.
it's alive!
The team's current count is that there are 67 different manufacturers for all the parts of this car, ranging from BMW to Ford to Toro lawnmower.
The team had to create a spreadsheet of where everything came from because there's no way to remember all of that without writing it down.
Yeah, Judge Eric considers this thing to sort of be the Le Mans masterpiece.
That's high praise.
And that is really high praise from a guy who has seen as much as Judge Eric.
Yeah, and it's a masterpiece because it's awesome. I mean, look at it. But it's also a masterpiece because they followed the letter of the Le Mans law and they used their own creativity and resourcefulness and ashtray change to make this whole thing come together. That's the approach that we want people to take.
Yeah, and once again it shows the Geo Metro is just this incredible blank canvas for Le Mans stuff. So, subscribe to this channel to watch more videos, including the other videos on other engine swap Metros.
Thanks for watching Le Mans World.
Don't forget to subscribe.